welcome to this video. My name is Dasheva, and I'm Marketing Manager for the Smart Mobility and Automotive Event Portfolio at we.CONECT. Today, I'm having an interview with Petya Dasheva, Team Lead MPOS Tuner Software Development at Mercedes-Benz. Petya is a keynote speaker at two of our upcoming events, Agile Automotive Engineering Summit and Better Automotive Software Summit, that are taking place in Berlin on December the 1st and 2nd. Hi, Petya. It's good to see you. How are you doing today?
Hi, it's good to be here. So I'm feeling pretty well today. Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. So let's get started. You're team lead for software development. Could you please tell us a bit about your role at Mercedes-Benz and about your journey up to this point? What sparked your interest in software development and Agile?
Sure. So yeah, it's been a long time. So I've been almost 12 years with Mercedes-Benz now, and most of this time, around 10 years, I was in the IT doing data center, cloud, and client architectures. And like 1.5 years ago, I moved to what I was initially doing, so software development in the research and development area directly in the car. And I'm responsible for Tuna, which is radio, TV, and for our American clients, Sirius. And of course, as I don't know, maybe most of the software developers before that, I studied computer science, so bachelor masters in Germany at University of Freiburg. And after that, I was working as a developer. Different jobs, web development, also doing standoff explosives detection. So I had to do with Fraunhofer Institute, with the Bundeswehr, and so on, before my journey with Mercedes started. And here I am now.
Well, awesome. This sounds amazing, especially about the explosives. That's yeah, that has to be very I don't know, interesting, exciting.
It was fun.
So looking back kind of at all this experience, do you think that like the methods, approaches to software development and like agile methods differ in large automotive companies from small companies and startups?
I might have a gap here because I haven't been in a startup yet. But I think there is a difference. So large companies, of course, have much more manpower that needs to be organized. The communication and everything needs to be settled in order for it to work efficiently. So, and in most cases, like Mercedes-Benz, we've been here for hundreds of years. So it's an old company that probably needs and we definitely needed some restructuring in order to adopt scaled agile and such agile constructs. When you create a startup, you can directly just organize it the way you want with the people you have. And you have also less projects, so your people are dedicated to a certain project, while in a bigger companies, mostly the resources are separated between different projects. You are part of many Scrum teams, so it's a much more complex structure that requires much more, I think, communication efforts, and you have to figure out, I think, what works for you. You cannot just take the agile or some agile book and go with it. You need to adapt, I think, much more.
Yeah, yeah, true. That makes sense, of course, given just the sheer size of the company. So looking back at your project, so what do you think was the hardest part of implementing agile and DevOps methods in a company like Mercedes-Benz?
Well, uh, as I already mentioned, there is the organizational part. which lasts a bit until you get the structure, like matrix-like and safe, I mean, scared agile-like. This takes a bit of time. Also, the processes need to be established. The people taking part in those processes need to be trained. This is a bit more faster than the organizational changes, but I think what's slowest is the change of the mindset, of the people's mindset, especially when you have an end product so complex as a car. So it's not like just doing a part of software for, I don't know, a small robot arm or a website. It's a really complex product, and you have security in what you've been doing until now, and this change of mindset is really has taken time.
I see. So looking back at the projects that you've done at Mercedes-Benz, is this something that you would have done differently, like looking back? Were there any flops, something that completely didn't work?
Well, there is always something that doesn't work. I mean, with the knowledge now going back, of course, back then I didn't have this knowledge, of course. So you can always do something better. But yeah, I mean, this is the good part in Agile, that you have small sprints, like between 2 and 4 weeks. So the first Agile team I was part in, we had 3 week sprints. So in the end, you figure out pretty fast what didn't work. So normally, of course, you plan much more than you can implement. I guess everyone has this problem in the agile world. Then of course the resources capacities cannot be assigned that perfectly, because there is always, it's people, you can get sick, you have holiday, something might happen. And yeah, also the commitment and the transparency that offers the Agile framework is something new. So at each moment how many story points and what the developer is doing. And this is also something new for the people. This didn't really go wrong, but I have noticed some people might get stressed with this way of working at the beginning. Might think, oh God, what is happening now? Will I, get in trouble if I don't finish my story points or something like that? So I think the open culture and the secure culture and speaking directly with the people, making clear, okay, this is just how Agile works. It's not that I'm going after you. We just need, statistics. We need data in order to improve, to be better the next sprint, or after a month, or after a few months. So there is a lot of change that needs to happen in people's minds when you start with Agile, and also in the way you work. And yeah, there are conflicts, there are some misunderstandings. But nothing that was absolutely an absolute disaster, and we couldn't talk about it or we couldn't fix.
Okay, well that's good to hear. Do you think Agile changed like in the past 10 years? Some approaches changed, or like people's approaches changed to it?
I think, well, in the past 10 years, I think a lot has happened. So the Scrum Guide was changed, I think, 2 years ago, like 2020. So it became a bit more flexible, a bit more open on some parts. Also, the Scaled Agile framework, I think it was published 2011 or something like that, so a bit more than 10 years, but still. I see a tendency, especially in big companies, that more and more people are going towards scaled agile, working, or trying to work in their complex structures in a better way and to adopt not like punctually agile methods, but for the whole organization. So it's definitely getting. I think nowadays you can find much more complex agile structures than like 10 years ago when it was like. I think 10 years ago it was like only separate teams, trying things out, working agile, especially in the big companies. I'm not talking about startups. And now you see whole structures and whole areas working according to SAFe. So I think it's there's something to it,
That's great. If you were given all the resources you need and all the approvals and everything, what would you change in the process of software development in automotive?
So if we speak about the methods, I would stay with Agile. I think it has established well in the last even 15 years for software development at least. What I would be changing is rather, I don't know, the way you look at software and start developing it, like create the architecture beforehand, and really think of smart ways to reuse. It might sound a bit old school, but I don't know. I'm still a fan of this so-called component-driven software development, where you have reusable parts, and of course you have to think of the pipeline. You have to think of automatization and stuff like that. So I would keep the methods, but some of the other parts of doing, I might, think through a bit better.
Good. Well, I hope you can really do that in your projects, have more kind of freedom. So you're vocal about the inequality in the industry in terms of like gender, race, sexuality. How does the industry address these issues? Are we getting any closer to, let's say, like narrowing the gender gap in software development?
No, it's a bit funny. I'm a woman talking about gender gap in software development. So yeah. Well, I don't have many female colleagues, that's for sure. But yeah, it's. I was looking at some statistics, from the agency of work here in Germany, and it's very clear in technical areas, engineering, IT, software development, you have like 17% women or less. And in some other areas like healthcare, childcare, teaching, and so on, you have like up to 80% women. So if you look at the market as a whole, if we want more women in the technical part, then we should also have more men in other parts. So yeah, it's the first overview, like looking at it in common, but it starts, I think, from the childhood and from choosing, what to study. So I think the biggest parts of students, attending university, at least in Germany, are women. So 60%, I think, or approximately 60%, but still they choose rather non-technical directions to study. I mean, even when I was studying computer science, we were like 400 men and 20 women on the campus. So it's some difference. The question is, I think it starts with the childhood. I've never played with dolls. I had Lego.
Yeah.
And then at the age of 6, I got a computer. so I got interested in, computers and stuff like that. And it was, it was not something intentional. It was just my parents gave me the possibility, to have access to different toys, and I chose Lego. But
Yeah.
um, of course, it's a cultural part. Maybe there are some other families that directly, oh, here you have a doll, or you, as a girl or as a boy, you get the Lego or something. So this should be just taken into account, maybe. And furthermore, by choosing what to study, you pretty much take your experiences from the childhood and from school when you decide what to attend at university. So if you have access, at school to programming, um, or you start at an early age to program like something with Scratch, for example, is a very fun way to start learning programming for kids. Then maybe more girls will have interest to go into this direction. And then when we come to the level that is interesting for me, hiring people. So last year I built a team. I had over 200 interviews and only 15 applicants women from those over 200. So in the end, when you come up to this stage, it's already, you don't have enough applicants even, to choose from. So I think it should be started very early if in the end we want to close this gap, because it's growing very slowly, like 1-2% only for the last few years.
Well, Legos to the women, I guess. Okay.
Legos for everyone.
Yeah, Legos for everyone. Yeah. All right. So you'll be giving keynote presentations at both events. What are your expectations from the conferences? Are there any particular outcomes that you're counting on?
Everything. Incomes, outcomes, everything.
Yes.
So first of all, I'm very happy. So thank you for this invitation, and I'm really excited, to give something back from what I've learned and from what we are doing at MBOS on one hand, and on the other hand also to get feedback, whether it's interesting and whether it can help someone else, but also to see how it's working with other companies and what are the other experiences, and of course exchange, have some networking. I'm also attending the networking dinner, so we'll be happy to meet a lot of people there and talk about software development and agile methods also with them, and of course have fun during during this summit.
Yeah, and I should assure you that all that will happen for sure. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. And again, it's Dasheva, team lead, MBOS tuner software development at Mercedes-Benz. So she will be joining us for Agile Automotive Engineering Summit and Better Automotive Software Summit in Berlin on December 1st and 2nd. Petya, we're looking forward to listening to your presentations and see you in Berlin.
In Berlin.
Thank you.